So here's the problem with those public communities. It's a whole lot more than a Facebook page or a Twitter and so forth. Now, we all know why people gyrate to these social communities, because there's lots of people that hang around on them. But that's irrelevant. What's relevant is, are they the people you want to talk to? Are they your customers? Are they your prospects? Is that where you want to be seen? And one of the problems, if you would, that the Twitter, I mean, one of the benefits is that everybody knows who's hanging out on which social discussion forum or blog. We know a lot about them. But you don't own the data on a Facebook community. You don't have control over when Facebook changes the rules and your data is there or not there. You don't have intimacy on a public community. And it's rarely a destination site where somebody's going to buy or purchase or be influenced by your product or service. And so what best-in-class companies are doing around the world is it's a mixed bag of public and private communities. And for that, I'd like to introduce you to the hub and spoke model that we've been using with many very well-known companies successfully over the last 5 or so years. And here's how it works. What you're doing is you're using the public social communities up top like Facebook or Twitter, and you use those as a vehicle to promote your brand and get new content out to potential buyers. But what you're really trying to do is to send them from the public site down to your own community or down to your own website where an actual an event can take place. And so what I'm saying is the spokes are the public communities, which you should be active on. But what you do is you're sending them down inside your own website, your own private community, where you can now have intimacy, your own subject matter experts, and so forth. And what that allows you to do now is while you're in my private social community, I'm listening with my devices, I'm scraping or harvesting what you say, I'm putting it inside your CRM profile, I have a customer engagement coming out shortly thereafter. That's state of the art today for your best-in-class global corporations. And the whole concept then is to integrate information from your community into CRM, use your analytical tools from inside CRM, and come back out with meaningful customer engagements. So let me close with a couple of thoughts. I've made somewhat of a statement already that the public social media communities are very important and they're valuable to build brand image and to build or to distribute content. And you need to be there and so forth. Private communities, far more important. And the reason is you control the dialogue, you control the invite. I'm going to give you one example of Kraft's internal private community, and you know, I'll show you the numbers and you make your own conclusions. But one thing I do know is, again, when we're in that storm, Dave, and they do happen on the Atlantic, I can confirm that. The one thing you want to do is make sure you're clear on where you're going and why you're going. And the only way to understand that is through metrics. So if anybody would ever launch a community or dabble in Facebook, I just say hogwash. That's just a simple waste of money. So if you're not metricized and you're not measuring what you're trying to do, you'll never get to where you want to go. So I'm not talking about number of people that are visiting your community, and I'm not talking about number of posts or tweets or, you know, the threads. I'm not talking about how quickly one responds to a comment. That's all community stuff. That's the health of the community. I'm talking about business impact. I'm talking about, you know, is it really impacting my sales or avoiding costs and so forth. Okay, so on the business side, it's about getting the metrics on the business side right. So let me share with you just a brief story. It's one of our customers. It's Kraft Foods. You know it well because you had Philadelphia cream cheese this morning or you had Planters peanuts at the brunch. So you know, they're well known and a wonderful company out of Glenville, Illinois. Kraft distributes through large wholesalers like Sysco and US Food. You've seen the trucks. They're all over Boston, etc. But Kraft also knows that the ultimate customer is not Sysco or US Food. It's the restaurant or the internal cafeteria to your business or the university that is purchasing that food from Sysco that one could argue is the customer. We call those operators in that business. So Kraft wants to know about the operators. Now you go inside the operator, there's two components of an operator. One is the owner of the restaurant or the food facility. And maybe even more important is the chef in the back of the restaurant that actually chooses what ingredients go in the food that he or she's going to serve. So Kraft understands that the name of the game is not managing the Cisco relationship. That in itself is important. You know, we've got a $50 billion company dealing with a $36 billion company. It's a very interesting relationship. But the name of the game is understanding the operator and going all the way down to the chef. So Kraft created something back in 2008 called KraftWorks. At that time, it was nothing but a printed brochure, came out of Canada, in fact, and went to a variety of different restaurant owners and chefs that were interested in discounts and recipes and how to run restaurants effectively. It was a mishmash of lots of different things. They then brought it online and made it an email campaign, and they started to sign up considerably more chefs and business owners that were interested in receiving a weekly or a monthly Kraft Foods or KraftWorks email that contained relevant information. We got involved in it probably 2 years ago. We designed the community for Kraft, and here was the thinking. If we create a private community on the Kraft website, you click a button on the Kraft website, chefs talk to chefs about, the most tasty food. We can run contests of how to use Grey Poupon mustard most creatively. We can take the owners and have them come into the same community but through a different door, and here in that community we're going to talk about how to drive efficiency into running a restaurant, new demographic trends around your restaurant, tastes that are changing in the community. And we can put up subject matter experts from Kraft, and we can put up subject matter experts from the culinary industry, and all of a sudden we start to get chefs talking to chefs and restaurant owners talking to restaurant owners, and we, Kraft, happen to be facilitating those dialogues. So now listen carefully on this one. We scrape the information from this is a work in progress. We scrape the information from the community. It goes into the SAP CRM system that goes out to the sales rep of Kraft Foods. He visits the operator. He says hello to the business owner. He goes right into the chef. They talk shop, and he says, hey, listen, I saw you really enjoyed that Grey Poupon lamb recipe on the media site a couple of nights ago. I want to share a couple of others with you. Now, do you think that chef is going to be intrigued to talk further? And the answer is, of course he will. And so this is the name of the game when you mix transactional with emotional and you drive the future of customer relationships. The last thought I wanted to make sure I was clear on was, why else should you be involved in this social media, public and private community business? And the reason is the search engines are using that inside their algorithm. So if you're not familiar with this, Google searches lots of different things in order to come up with a list of where you fall when you type in something on the Google search bar. More and more of that now, the algorithm is being weighted towards social media. So here's some statistics. Consumers exposed to a brand's social media content are 3 times more likely to search on that brand's name. So the social media presence is important. Oreo cookies is another Kraft product. It's 100 years old. And I think it's in excess of 10 million fans that sit on Facebook. There's a reason why we constantly get stuff out to that site. Consumers exposed to a brand's social media content are almost 2 times more likely to search with the intention of actually making a purchase. So again, for those in sales, fairly important figure. And overall, if you put the two together, brands report about a 50% lift in the click-through rates for those consumers that are exposed to both social media and paid search.